Camping's not a professional event. It's a novice event. We go out there and just have fun. We're not out there trying to do it perfect. Welcome. Today we're going to be going over camp kitchens. Not just any old camp kitchens, but motorcycle camp kitchens. So when you're putting your camp kitchen together, you've got to ask yourself the big main questions first. Where are you going? How long are you going to be gone? What are you traveling on? Is on foot, on a motorcycle, in a van, jeep, truck, car? What are you going in? How much room do you have? How much weight can you carry? Those are the big questions right up front that you need to know. Then you can start deciding what types of stuff you need to put together based on what kind of food are you eating, how often are you going to be cooking, what type of food are you going to be cooking, and then just being prepared. Of course, I didn't show you, I always carry a lighter that's in another kit, a fire starting kit that I keep with me, which is really part of the camp kitchen. But it's also part of just having a campfire, and I'm not always cooking every time I start a campfire. Sometimes I'm just sipping on a cold brew and BSing with the guys. But get the big questions out of the way first, then the minor questions, which are what are you cooking? How often are you going to be cooking? How many people are you going to be cooking for? And then if you have yourself just some good quality gear, you don't need a whole garage full. I know if you can see some of this stuff behind me, I've got a garage full of it. But that is from years of going through stuff, trying to figure it out. And that is a lot of money spent and not being used. This is what is being used because this is what works, and it took me a long time to get there. So really, in putting this video out there for you, I'm saving you the time and effort and energy of buying everything under the sun to try and figure out what works. So what we're going to do is we're going to walk through this the way I walked through putting these camp kitchens together. And what we've got here is, just so you know what's sitting on the table, is this is the camp kitchen that I had for the 5 years leading up to this last year. And I took that on every type, from a hunting trip, fishing trip, whatever type of camping I was doing. This was my go-to camp, little camp kitchen. I could cook, make anything I wanted with it. It was unlimiting and very, very minimalistic. Made out of good materials, and it served me well. So what I had to start with, where I was coming from, this is a titanium coffee cup. It says 300 milliliters up to here, so this is probably a 500 milliliter cup, or a 450 milliliter cup. And then this is, I just put my coffee grounds in here. Put my coffee grounds inside of this and just set that down in my coffee cup and let it sit there for a little bit. Pull this out, drain it, and I've got coffee. This is a Soto wind burner or Windmaster. I don't remember which one, what they call it. But I've had this one, like I said, now going on probably 7 or 8 years. And it's been used maybe 1,000 times. I don't know. This comes apart. They're in separate pieces. This is the landing, or whatever you call it. It slides in here and just spring loaded. There's a spring right here that locks it in there. And it's got 4 legs on the base instead of 3 like a lot of others. And let's see here. Titanium silverware. I like the polished ends because I don't like the grittiness against my mouth. And it makes everything feel a little more refined. I always carry a pocket knife or a hip knife, so I didn't have to have another knife in my kit. And this is like an 1800 milliliter pot, and it carries my fuel canister goes in there too, so I've got my way of cooking with it. And that has been used hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. I don't know how much water and how much food it has cooked over the years. In a P51, a can opener, and a big frying pan. So this is like a 10-inch frying pan, a 9 or 10-inch frying pan. And that was my camp kitchen for a long time. In every situation I took it. And I could do everything in it. And this would just fit off down in here. But this stove, like I said, has come with me on every adventure. So it is also going with this. This is the kit that I took on my Africa Twin. This is the kit that I took on my 450. And this is what I started with. And I just didn't want to take all this. I was going to be videoing this new adventure. And I just wanted some newer, better gear. Something a little cleaner, prettier on television. So I was putting together this kit to go on my Africa Twin for a trip from Missouri to Oregon. And I was camping the whole way. And cooking meals, cooking at least twice a day. At least making coffee in the morning and then cooking dinner. But quite often it was making coffee and cooking breakfast and then cooking dinner in the evening. Okay, now that we've went over what I started with, we're going to get into how I selected my new stuff for these new trips. So I'm on a Honda Africa Twin. It's a big 1100cc motorcycle. It can carry a lot of weight, and I had a lot of room, some big bags in there. And it was almost unlimited to what my imagination could put together. But I'm also a minimalist, and I want to take the least amount of stuff that I can. So I've learned throughout my life to save my money for the good stuff. Like, I want to buy it once, like this. I want to buy it once and be able to use it for years and years and years. And it always worked. So that's what I did. I saved up for a long time to get all this stuff for these camping trips. And I put together some really good kits, and I keep them like this because they are so well put together. Every time I go camping, I have exactly what I need and nothing more. Steak and mushrooms for breakfast. Coffee and a great view. So I was going to be making dehydrated meals. I was going to be cooking steak and mushrooms. I was going to be cooking bacon and eggs. I was going to be... there was no telling what I was going to be cooking at camp or how I was going to be cooking at camp. So I wanted options. You like cooking at camp? Out camping like this? I love it. Okay, boys and girls. I still have to put all this food away. Somehow, some way, I'll figure it out. The things that you ask yourself whenever you go camping are, what's the weather like? What altitude, what elevation are you going to be at? Is it going to be cold or hot? Is it going to be wet or dry? Are you going to be in and out of towns every day where you can stop and get supplies every single day? So, and you don't have to carry food with you. It's just every day you stop and get what you're going to cook that evening. And then you're on the road the next day. Is that what you're doing? Are you going to cook it at the store, at the gas station? Are you going to eat at restaurants every day? If you're going to eat at restaurants every morning and every evening and just take snacks with you during the day, you don't need a camp kitchen at all. So what kind of camping trip are you taking? Today what we're talking about is motorcycle camping. It's not a motorcycle cross-country trip staying in hotels every night. It's a cross-country trip where you're staying either in campgrounds or dispersed camping areas in the middle of who knows where. You don't even know where you're going to be. And there are burn bans in most forested areas. There are burn bans at least certain times of the year. And you can't cook with wood, so you need an alternate fuel source like gas, which most of those places, if there's a burn ban, like a campfire ban, they will let you cook with propane or isobutane stove that's regulated and whatnot. So you got to, most of these days, if you're going somewhere and you don't know what the rules are, you need to be prepared for both. Like a cross country trip, you're going to find some areas you can have a campfire. And, you know, tomorrow, the place that you're going to be at, the campfires are banned. You can't use it. So you still got to prepare your food. So when you stay minimalistic, you need really good stuff. You can't have anything that fails. So, like I said, save your money and get the good stuff. Get companies that are known for what you're doing and read the reviews, man, on multiple different sites that is selling them. Read the reviews from the customers on them and try and make a good, educated decision on these products for exactly what you need. We're going to start breaking down my Africa Twin kit. Okay? First thing, I've got to have a way to at least boil water and make soup or something. So, having a pot, I chose a kettle that my fuel canister stays in. And this is a titanium kettle with a handle that is reversible. So you can hang it over the fire. You can hang it over the fire or just set it on the stove, however you want to do it. It's a good size for this burner right here. Fits on there nicely. Like I said, the handle is reversible, so if you don't want the handle getting in the way of trying to stir stuff, you can always turn the handle around and use it like that, like a regular pan. I always know when the water's boiling, it starts steaming. Steam starts coming out of here, and you know your water's boiled. Safe to drink, whatever. Pour it into your dehydrated meal, whatever. So there's my pot. I'll say this about a camp light, and I'll put this away. You should always have a light. Many times when you're going out camping in dispersed areas, you're riding through the woods and you're looking for a camp spot. That'll take you into dark lots of times. And when you get to your camp spot, it's dark outside. You still need to prepare food. Having a good little floodlight that you can either hang over your camp or just set it on the table is paramount. You got to have it. So you got to have something to contain all of your kitchen. Unless you plan on just poking it in pockets here and there, which is perfectly doable. But I wanted to be able to just grab my kitchen and have everything in one spot. so I wasn't having to hunt in different places and try and remember where did I put that and where did this go and digging through stuff trying to find certain things. I'd rather be a little more organized with it. This is actually a box for a CPAP machine. The mask that people use to breathe at night, I think. But I typed in the dimensions that I needed. I put all my gear together and figured out about how big of a container I needed. And that's what I typed in on the internet and did a Google search for that. And then all these containers popped up. And I just went through hundreds of them trying to find something that would work. And I had a 10-inch frying pan, so I knew it had to at least be a 10 by 10. And this is just a little bit over that. It's a semi-rigid hull around it. And everything fits right in there. So this is my Africa Twin kitchen right here. Before I get into this, I also have a cutting board. I used to use the back side of an X-plate for a while. I did it like that, but it was just too small. And I needed something else. And it's really thick. It's probably 3/16 of an inch thick, but flexible and still rigid, hard enough. It's some kind of poly nylon, I don't know, silicone nylon, something. It's hard but flexible, and it just slides down. You can put it anywhere, into anything. And much better than trying to cut stuff up on a nasty old picnic table. So I carry in my kitchen, I keep olive oil and soap. Any type of allspice, all seasoning, like a Lowry's or Cavender's or something. Salt and pepper. This is the coffee that I switched to. Instead of using coffee grinds and this, I just went to instant coffee. And this is, if you watch some of my videos, you'll see it. Set of tongs. Anytime you're cooking over a campfire, trying to get a fork to turn something is your hand gets really close to the fire, and you can get quite a ways away back from the fire, the flames, to turn a steak or whatever you've got on the fire. Titanium silverware. I like the polished kind because I don't like the rough feeling in my mouth. An X mug with the ribs on it. The ribs help a lot when you've got hot stuff in here. I had the room for a big full-size can opener, bottle opener, all that. A lot easier than a P51. I have a knife that I just used for preparing food. It's a lock blade from Japan. Good knife. I like it. And then for eating, cutting into my steaks, this is a carbon steel blade. It rusts. But it's good for just a general kitchen knife, paring, doing little kitchen stuff that you don't want a big, bulky knife for. My spatula, I've got a couple of different spatulas, but I like these little ones that fold, these nylon ones. An X-plate that folds down. And I used to use the back of this as a cutting board, but it was just a little too small. A camp towel, and I use the camp towel in between everything because I want this pan to stay nice inside. It's non-stick, and I just used it on this one trip. I probably used it, I don't know, a dozen times on that camping trip. But enjoyed all of it. It's a heck of a good frying pan. Highly recommended. Don't worry, there's something under here you gotta see. This is also a traveling mug, so it is going to go into my next camp kitchen. Okay. Now, I said that you can also cook over the campfire. Well, I also have a firebox stove. This is one of the big ones, the stainless steel one. The titanium one, I thought about getting the titanium one, but it would be just... I've got another titanium stove I'll show you. And when it gets really hot, it bends easy. And if it's just in little slits, it will warp and it'll fall through. It won't stay together. So the stainless steel one, though, although it's heavy, it holds together well and takes a lot more heat. And so sometimes I cooked on top of my firebox stove. So this was my Africa Twin setup right here. Now also this moved over to my other kit. So I went on another trip. After I did the motorcycle trip from Missouri to Oregon, I got a different motorcycle. I put together a whole new camping outfit because I got a much smaller motorcycle. And I didn't have the room to take a big old kit like this. So I had to put together a smaller kit. Because I was still going on a 3-week camp trip on a dirt bike, cross country from one end of Oregon to the other and back. And I was not eating at any restaurants or anything, always eating at camp or on the motorcycle. There she blows. Man, it'd be really cool if the sound of that... Oh, and this isn't any instant coffee. This stuff is from Korea, South Korea. And it's chocolate instant coffee. So it's got creamer and sweetener and chocolate in with the instant coffee. Boy, having one of these little tables is so much better than sitting everything on the ground. Comfort. So again, I still take... This has been standard with me in both of these camp kitchens. The mug. And then I've got some cool stuff in here. So in this one, yeah, it just had to be a smaller kit because I didn't have as much room. That is one of your major considerations. How much packing ability do you have? How much weight can you carry? How much stuff? And that'll tell you what kind of gear you need to get. So instead of having a big old table like this, if you're car camping, you might need a little table like this. That is just a little folding table about this big. And I have put these are the legs to it. It just stands up on its legs like that. But it's big enough to set my firebox stove on. I'll show you my other stove. So if I was on a picnic table or something like that and I didn't want to have my firebox stove down on the ground, I could set this up on top of the picnic table. And of course with these legs, it's, you know, that tall off the ground. And I could put my firebox stove on top of here. Or I have, this is the titanium stove I was talking about. Now again, this is the kit I took on my 450. This right here and this stuff. Yeah. I'm going to be amazed at what all's in here. I this isn't it. This is a grill. So if I'm just cooking over the campfire, or if I'm cooking over the top of my firebox stove or this other titanium stove, I also have this is a stainless steel grate. Where is it? Right there. So instead of the X plate, I use the X bowl in this kit as a plate or a bowl or whatever I need it for. This is the titanium stove I was telling you about. And so I set this stove up on top of this that is sitting up off of the ground. And I can cook with a wood stove on top of a picnic table without catching the picnic table on fire. Okay, so another wood stove, the grate. And I can just put up 2 rocks. I can just stand up 2 rocks and put this grate over the top of it with coals underneath and cook on it. Just like that, if that's what I wanted to do with it. Now, as far as actual utensils go, we've got the X bowl, the Sea to Summit X bowl. We've got the mug. We've got another set of tongs, but they're just like little ice tongs. But good for a small kit. And then in here, I don't have a big can opener, but I do have another P51. And again, titanium silverware. And I like regular silverware because when I'm eating is when I want to feel the most civilized. And so you could sharpen a stick and just poke your food with it, or flatten a stick out and shovel it in your mouth, or you could get by with a whole lot less, but this is the 21st century. Another spatula, folding spatula. So this just has that's how it locks. Pull it back and it folds up. I got this recently for scrubbing pots and whatnot. It's coming pretty handy, actually. That'll probably start being a traveler. It'll go with me wherever I go. And there's some little fire tabs to start a fire. And I also took my spices. My spices also fit down in here. The oil and the soap and the salt and pepper, that goes in here also. So now, all of this just slides right back up in here. And this is just a little Carhartt bag that I think I got it to put Geely's stuff in whenever we were out running around. There. So that's my camp kitchen. I know it's messy, I know it's unorganized, and this doesn't look like a big professional production. But camping's not a professional event. It's a novice event. We go out there and just have fun. We're not out there trying to do it perfect. So what do you think? You think you could put a kitchen together like this? I know it'll work for you. If it works for me, it'll work for you. I can use this little kit right here, or this kit right here, or this kit right here. In almost any situation, I could take it anywhere with me and cook anything. I could cook a big meal with it, and you'd like it. Anyways, You know, I think I just about covered everything. So now, can I go over some other stuff that most people don't talk about when it comes to camp kitchens? Those those big questions that I asked. Those once you answer those, the kitchen almost puts itself together, if you know what I'm saying. And now the uncoated pans and just the raw titanium pans without some type of copper coating or aluminum bottom, whatever they do to spread the heat out quickly, they don't. These titanium pots and pans have a tendency to just get hot right underneath the flame. And so you're either moving it around, moving the pan or pot around on the flame, or you're moving the food around in the pot or pan. And I wish they would really make a bigger burner on these stoves to make it cooking at camp a much more pleasurable event. So I'm sure a lot of you that are watching this that are motorcycle campers, you've probably got kits put together. And if there's something that you think I really need, point it out. But I have pretty much figured out that this that I showed you is all that is needed on a camp trip. You can cook gourmet meals with this gear right here. Whether it's the smallest, most minimal kit or a bigger minimal kit or a lightweight backpacking, hiking. I mean, this right here weighs nothing. You wouldn't even hardly notice the weight on your back. Really knowing your basic, understanding your basic needs is the biggest part of putting a kitchen together. And really shop around for what you need. I chose the size of these pots because I know how much food, if I had to cook for 2 people, I still can. If I had to cook for 4 people, I still could. It would take longer. But cooking just for me, this is also the minimum required. What your requirements are for camping makes all the difference in what you take. But hey, this is the camping channel, and this is just my motorcycle gear. So when I'm going camping on my motorcycle, this is it. We're going to go Jeep camping, we're going to go backpacking, we're going to do all kinds of camping on this channel. And I hope you guys come along. I'll try and show you everything that I'm doing without being too instructional. Just kind of show you what I'm doing as I'm going along.
So I'm just going to have to sit like that for a little bit.
All right. Oh yeah, good morning everybody.